What's going on, y'all? Chuck Nunface here. A couple weeks back, I shot and uploaded my top 5 folder knives, and a couple weeks have gone by, and I meant to kind of do a follow-up a little bit sooner than I have, but just kind of got busy doing other stuff, so I'm going to do that now. We're not going to talk about this one right here. This is the TRC K1S with the Oakridge leather clip slip, leather sheath, goes right in the pocket. We're not going to talk about this today, but I wanted to kind of just have it out there while something to do while I was kind of giving a little background, something to look at while I was giving a little background of the top 5 today. So I was going through the top 10 list and everything else, and it was generally very well received. And one thing you need to remember, though, this is the top 10 folders that I currently own. It's not the top 10 folders of all time. It's not what Blade Magazine would say is the top 5 or the top 10 folding knives, everything else. It's the ones I currently own. And generally, I think people got that. But of course, there was a comment or two saying, it wasn't even really very productive comment. It was just, wow, those knives aren't even good. How can you call those top 10? And of course, when I said, all right, we'll go ahead and, what's your top 10? I didn't get a single response. So that's to be expected. So in any case, we are going to do, out of that original 10 that I had, we're going to whittle it down to the top 5 favorite folders that I own. And go ahead and click, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe if you can. I would definitely appreciate it. Leave a comment, certainly, with your top 5. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we'll start right off the bat with no particular order, but we'll go Rockstead Shin. Since shooting the top 10, I don't know if it's showing up right there, I have damaged this one. I dropped it, and I chipped out the edge a little bit. So I'm going to kind of figure out what I want to do, whether I'm going to send it to Japan or if I'm just going to try to fix the convex myself. I'm not sure. I don't think really sending it to Japan is something I want to do for that little itty bitty bit. I think I would use it a lot longer and harder before I did something like that. Because there's a cost associated with, of course, shipping it overseas. Because they do have a good warranty, but you need to go ahead and pay for the shipping there and back. So I have to kind of figure out what I want to do there. But yeah, this made it into the top 5. Rockstead knives. They're just wonderful pieces of machinery. Definitely deserves every bit within the top 5. So, like I said, no particular order, but we'll call that the first one. Next one, we're going to go ahead and do this ZT 0300. 0303 to be exact. So, yeah, like I said, I got a lot of comments on this one when I did the top 10 video. A lot of people commenting how they got turned on to maybe Satu Dave. They hadn't heard of him yet, and they checked out his stuff because Satu Dave was the guy that did the detent mod on this one. Because as you know, and I discussed in the last video, the 0300 series was not drilled or was not made with a detent hole drilled in the blade. So it did have a torsion and a spring assist and everything else, and you can take that torsion bar out, and it's got a detent ball in the frame. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is in there. So it's got a detent ball set in there, but it doesn't have one drilled. So my friend went ahead and did all the measurements. Satu Dave, he is a machinist by trade, and he does great work. He does some cool stuff. You should definitely check out his channel. And he did put a detent ball in there, and there's no lash or anything like that. There's nothing. I mean, there's a little bit of movement, but I mean, that's to be expected. And it works just great. So I wanted to include that, because I think this knife right here has a really cool story. These Ken Onion ZTs are some of my favorite that ZT has ever done. A lot of people wish that ZT would go back to making knives like this. They've definitely taken it into a direction where it's more EDC and kind of city carry and everything else. Maybe not as robust. I mean, they do have a couple of more overbuilt knives, but their motto for quite some time was proudly overbuilt in the USA, and a lot of people would kind of wish that they would get back to that. But in any case, that made it into the top 5 as well. Spartan Harsey folder. Love me a Spartan Harsey folder. This one, of course, is the Sugar Skull edition. It's the Action Concepts exclusive. I think it's the only exclusive that they have from Spartan. This one actually came with I think I mentioned this too, it came with a stonewash blade, but I ended up getting a DLC blade from somebody on Blade Forums, who ended up putting a Damascus blade in his. And I picked up this DLC blade because I always thought it would look way cooler with the black hardware and the black blade. Well, it turns out over the weekend, I think Friday, Spartan announced that they're going to be doing another exclusive, and that exclusive has the black blade. So if you do like this, I will no longer be the only one with this configuration. You can go ahead and buy this directly from Action Concepts as configured. I don't know if they're going to do blacked out thumb stud or not. The pictures that I saw didn't have the thumb stud installed yet. So yeah, Spartan Heartsick folder, definitely recommend checking one out. Oh, do yourself a favor. I've always thought, I never mentioned this in my review of this knife or in the last video either. When you first get one, it's gonna have a stiff action. It's not really gonna flip too well. It's definitely not gonna fall shut. Resist all temptation to fiddle with a pivot. Just give it some time. Carry it, use it, work the action, fiddle with it if you want to, or at least, fidget with it at your desk, whatever it is that you want to do, open it and close it, use the knife. Just resist the urge, especially if it's DLC'd. It is going to take a little while to break in, but once it breaks in so smoothly, and I think that's part of the fun with owning one of these, is getting them to break in. So I definitely, I've never said that on any of my YouTube videos, but resist the urge to fiddle with a pivot. Just let it break in naturally. You're gonna be happy that you did. Okay, Rockstead Higo. I don't know, this one's really great. It's just fantastic. It is just such, it's the second Rockstead that's making it into the top 5. I did kind of struggle. I wasn't sure I was gonna include the Shin. I knew I was gonna include the Higo. I kind of struggled a little bit, but yeah, had to get it into the top 5. This is just that beautiful 189 ZDP 189 steel, ironwood overlays. Interestingly, on these, it is 420 JC steel that are in the liners. They're not titanium liners. I believe the new ones, like the Higo 2, that is in the Higo 2X, I think that's what it's called. That is titanium, but the older version, like this one right here, is not titanium. So I definitely use this. I carry this knife. I use this knife. It's one of those things. I think this knife is too nice not to use. I don't know if it's going to show up, but it does get a little bit scratched. It does get a little bit, that mirror polish right there. It is going to show wear. I don't know if it's really coming across in the video, but you are going to get little micro scratches. I mean, ZDP 189, heat treated to like 68.5 or whatever it is. I have to check the card again on it. But yeah, it's ridiculously hard too on the heat treat, but it is going to pick up scratches. If you're processing cardboard and stuff like that, there's all sorts of grit. It's dirty stuff. It is going to pick up some scratches. It just is what it is. You can either put it in your safe and take pictures, or you can just use it and enjoy it and say, happy to have this, and just kind of use the knife. So that's what I've chosen to do. So I've found over my course of buying, selling, collecting, what have you, is that if I don't carry something, chances are it's not going to stick around for very long if I'm not using it. I just don't enjoy it. Some people enjoy having knives kept in pristine condition, and that's perfectly fine. I can't tell you how to enjoy your hobby, but I got to use them. If I'm not using them and carrying them, then they don't tend to stick around. This is with that Cedar Grove leather clip slip. That's how I prefer to carry it right there. So go ahead and do that. And then last but certainly not least, Medford Fighter Flipper. This one this easily made the top 5. There was no doubt in my mind this was going to be in the top 5. I just really love this knife. I'm not going to go over too more detail. You can watch the top 10. And I think my first ever YouTube video is a review of this knife right here. I just love the Fighter Flipper. I think it's so cool. I think it's definitely my favorite model that Medford makes. And this one, I really enjoy. It's got that one-off laser and heat ano and bronze ano and everything else. So, there's something about carrying the Fighter Flipper in your pocket. You're not going to do it in dress slacks. You're definitely going to do it in jeans or something like that. But there's just something about toting around one of these that is just great, and I just love it. I really like this knife a lot. Definitely recommend the Fighter Flipper if you're kind of on the fence about it. I definitely recommend getting one. It's another one of those knives, very much like the Spartan Heartsy Folder. Give it some time, let it break in. You know, if you do need to fiddle with it, go for it. I think this one did require a little bit of you know, adjustments in order for it to get it the way I really liked it. This one I let just kind of break in. Well, I did end up, the first blade broke in and then the second blade broke in. But yeah, it's just another one of those knives where just give it some time. It's probably not going to flip at first. You're going to be like, wow, I can't believe I spent, you know, a lot of money on this, and it's not really impressing me at all. It doesn't really flip. It's like, it won't go out. Give it some time. There's a trick. It's no tricks to it really, but you do have to. It's not a push button. You really got to give it a little thwack. But it definitely opens with authority once you get it broken in and everything else. All right, so that's the top 5 right here. We got 2 Rocksteads, a ZT, a Spartan, and a Medford. Like I say, this is my personal top 5. This may not be your top 5. I'm not saying these are the best 5 knives ever created, but these are the ones that I chose out of the knives that I currently own, going from 10 down to 5. The next one, I don't know if it's going to be the next video I do, but it'll be top 3. So then we'll determine what the top 3 is. I'm not going to do a favorite overall. I think narrowing it down to top 3 is about as close as I'm going to be able to get it, because it's another one of those things where if you're like me, what may be top 5 one week, in another week may not be top. You may have things that you've gotten that you came in or you've just kind of changed out, and it just changes. So it is what it is. In any case, yeah, that's going to do it for me today. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day or evening or wherever it may be while you are watching this. Go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram at Chuck_Nunface. Like, once again, quick reminder, hit that subscribe. Go ahead and leave me a comment if you don't mind. Let me know what you think of my top 5 out of my collection. What do you think your top 5 would be in the world, out of the ones you own, anything like that. Definitely appreciate any comments that you put on there. That's going to do it for me. Thanks a lot, y'all. Peace.